What's up, everyone? You're listening to the RAS Project. My name is Ivan Temelkov. I'm your host. On this podcast, we discuss entrepreneurship, personal development, family, tech, and marketing. Why in the fuck should you listen to this podcast? This podcast is for those of you who are looking for life changing advice and ways to thrive digitally with your business. As always, all content is 100% real, raw, and unfiltered. As a quick reminder, I want to let you know that the RAS Project airs every Monday and Friday. So you get 2 episodes every week. And you can find it on your favorite podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or anywhere else podcasts are streamed. You can also watch it in video on Facebook Watch and YouTube channel. So originally I was going to talk about something completely different on this episode, and then I realized that it will be a complete waste of time if I did that. So change the topic. And in case you're wondering why I'm wearing a hat if you're watching the podcast and video, it's because I haven't gotten a haircut in like a month. And I'm sure a lot of the dudes out there listening and watching this episode can probably relate to this. Right, guys? Can't wait to get a haircut. So trust me, it's not a pretty picture. So what I want to talk about in this episode, I want to talk about strength. You see, your real strength is tested in times of despair, not when things are going well, but when shit hits the fan. And this is exactly what we're seeing right now, especially in social media, where a lot of people are talking about how powerful they are, how strong they are, and how they're going to be able to weather this COVID-19 pandemic, right? Well, during the COVID-19 pandemic, there's been a lot of people who are claiming just that. You know, they're claiming to be invisible because they think that they are. You know what, though? Half of those people aren't who they say they are. I've met a lot of them. And most of these folks are completely full of shit. They're pounding their hands against their chest like King Kong, not because they're fierce, but because they're scared shitless. And I'm going to be honest with you, there's a lot of people who are scared shitless right now. There's a lot of people who, you know, their family members are getting sick. A lot of people who are losing their businesses, you know, things that they have worked for many, many years. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people are losing a lot of things. And that's why I wanted to mention that because, you know, there are a lot of those people out there who are misconstruing themselves. Now, true strength is tested in times of despair, when you have little to no options. This is when you are truly forced to think and act strategically. Think differently, think creatively, think like you're in survival mode, because in the reality of things, you are. Right now, a lot of people are in survival mode. And I know I've been talking about COVID-19 for the last couple of episodes, have been circumventing around that. But the reality of things, there's so many changes that are happening right now. You know, humanity is never going to be the same. You have to remember that the entire world is practically on a lockdown and has been for like the last month. So whatever was normal prior to this will no longer be normal again whenever things, you know, come back, whenever this pandemic passes. It's going to be a whole brand new world. And I think, you know, to even elaborate upon that, I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be appreciative about the new beginnings. And there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be very upset because they were so used to the old ways of doing things, whether it's in their business or, you know, in their life. When COVID-19 hit, one side of me began to panic. And then I realized that this wasn't the first time that I've been in a similar situation. In fact, I've been in worse financial situations than what COVID-19 has brought along thus far. And let me tell you, you know, I feel like we're halfway through this right now. So we haven't really fully seen eye of the storm, at least here in the Midwest. I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, and from everything that I have seen around the nation, the Midwest hasn't even gotten the worst of it yet. So I think within the next week, there's so many things that are going to unveil, so many changes I think that are going to happen, and I think we're on the brink of the eye of the storm, so to speak. But for me personally, I mean, I've been bankrupt before. I know what it feels like. So I'm not there currently with my business and with my life, but I have experienced a financial difficulty in the past, and I know what it feels like. So to me, this is nothing new, because I feel like as an entrepreneur, the sky could fall down every single day. So COVID-19 has really, I think, in a way, emphasized this to a lot of people that were struggling already, or a lot of people that maybe even took their situations for granted. So now this was just an emphasis, and suddenly everybody's like, oh, fuck, what am I going to do? Well, what are you going to do? You're going to do the same thing you've been doing thus far that has worked, and you've been doing things that haven't worked or have taken things for granted. Then now you're truly being tested. And that's really what I wanted to emphasize with that statement, you know? So, so when this began, I really started to think about, when COVID-19 started, I started to think about, what can I do differently, right? How can I remain sane? What can I do to protect my family, my business, my relationships? You see, it's easy to say that you're strong, that you're resilient, that you're powerful, that you're authoritative, and whatever fucking bold statements you want to put out there. This is what most people do, literally, like this. They go like this, claim to be something that they're really not. And it's a completely different thing, though, to actually follow through on the things and take action behind your intentions. This is where 99% of entrepreneurs fail. They intend on taking action, beating their hands against their chest, but when push comes to shove, they completely choke. So, yeah, I'm scared. There is fear inside of me. I'm worried. There's so many things that I haven't even unveiled with you guys. Like, for instance, my wife has an autoimmune disorder. Yeah, I'm scared shitless for her, because literally, here's how detrimental this can be and life threatening for someone with an autoimmune disease. For someone like me who has been healthy majority of my life, if I get a common cold, right, then I might recover from it in a couple of days or a few days, at the longest. Now, if my wife gets a common cold, it might take like a week or two to recover from it. So the recovery time is a lot longer. And that's why, we have to be so cautious. So yeah, I am fearful from a standpoint that I'm worried about her. I'm worried about, how she might be impacted. But on the flip side of that, I'm not allowing fear to dictate the course of my actions, because I understand that whatever's meant to happen, the inevitable, I cannot control. I cannot do anything about it. There's no way for me to predict the inevitable. And that's the message that I want to share here with all of you, with all of you entrepreneurs, all of you fathers and wives, everyone listening, is that, strength is a really funny thing in a way, because a lot of people claim to be strong when they really test it. Like right now, COVID-19, this pandemic, is probably one of the biggest tests that I think humanity has seen in a long time, maybe in the history of mankind, since the beginning of mankind, I want to say. So are we going to emerge from this? Yes, we will. But the lives of many people are going to be changed. And remaining strong through this, doing your best, is really the best thing that you can do. One thing that I was doing actually earlier today with a friend was working on some mind mapping. And I got really inspired because a lot of the things that were flowing through my head, which I actually have on my whiteboard that have been written out, really truly resonate at heart with who I am. And the more I've realized this is just that I am a strong person, not just because I say it, but because I actually am actionable about it. And I shouldn't worry about what other people are saying about who I am, or whether they like me or don't like me, or whatever it might be. And now during COVID-19, that level of strength is being tested. If my family can get through this, then I can get through a lot of other things. So it's building up that momentum. I think right now it's building up that thick skin that's really going to be, the preface for what's to come, with my business, with my life, with everything moving forward. So the one takeaway that I want to share with you is that strength is something that is tested in times of despair, not when everything is going well. So I want you to think about that, and just know that we're going to get through this. Just keep doing what you've been doing thus far. Keep working hard. Keep getting up early. Keep having goals. Keep delivering on things, on client projects. Plan for the future ahead, because we will emerge from this. And I personally think that we'll emerge more victoriously. At least the true leaders, the innovators, the winners will emerge from this far more victoriously than ever before. So this is a huge opportunity. This is a huge opportunity for many of you, but at the end of the day, you have to harness this opportunity. Nobody else is going to harness that for you. So that's the real challenge here. And look, guys and gals, I have one favor to ask from you. If you feel that I've given you some value in this podcast, some perspective that has helped you make a change in your personal life or business, I would greatly appreciate it if you shared this podcast with someone else. I'm not selling you anything or forcing you to buy shit that you don't want. I am simply asking you from the bottom of my heart to share this podcast with other entrepreneurs or anyone who wants to make a change in their life and business. If you enjoyed the podcast and you keep coming back, it would also mean the world to me if you shared a review on iTunes. It will help others, other like-minded folks, know about the nature of content and value that I share on this podcast, and give them a reason to listen. As always, I am interested in sponsors for this podcast. If you are wanting to sponsor the podcast, send me an email to ivan@razorsharpdigital.com, or you can find me anywhere on social media as well, and would love to chat with you about it. And that's all I got to say on this one. We'll get through this. This is a tough time for many people, but true strength, true character, true resilience, true power, true authority is tested in times of despair. I love you all. God bless. Thank you so much for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.